Breathe. Orient to my voice. Blink. Hold on. Blink again. Open your eyes and tell me what you see. Do you remember me? Your perspective has changed. Take a moment. The lens of the Spirit is compassion and grace. Can you see it? Do you feel it? Go slow. It's just you and me, and we have nothing but time. Take a moment to center on your heart. It is completely unfolded, wide open. All of the emotions from the journey can catch up to you all at once. There's a lot to feel. Take yourself in. You are still you, just different. I have sealed your wounds, but left your scars. Everything in your life has mattered. Remember, but don't dwell on the past. Take my shirt, and here, have my coat as well. I'm sure you're hungry. Have a seat. I'll bring your plate. Here is your cup, full of wine. There is plenty. I'm about to send you out. Are you ready? The world has not changed. It knows no difference in you today from yesterday. In fact, they will try to identify you by the marks of your old ways and hold you to the mythology of your former life. They will look at you sideways, and they will wonder what they see. They may even ask who you think you are, but I know exactly who you are. So rise up, my hope, and carry the message. I am still alive and well in the world, active and fully present. Death is only the beginning.
And every desire Hey, well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Life Church. So glad to have you here today. Thanks for being here with us. My name is Jason. If we've never met, I am the pastor here at Life Church and I'm part of our team here, bringing our services to you every week. So big thanks to Amy and to our Life Church band who just played a song for you there, a pre-recorded song. They came in a few weeks ago and did all that. And Amy is our is our new worship director. She's on her way, moving, getting ready to working to move here to Lancaster, and she'll be joining us on March 21st here in the service. So anyway, thanks to all of them pulling that off, and you'll hear another song from that team here in just a minute. But again, I want to say welcome. Thanks for being here today. And if you're new to Life Church, if you've not really engaged with us before, or maybe it's just been a week or two, we just want to let you know that we're so glad that you're with us today. And ultimately, our hope, and each and every time we get together here as a church, whether it's digitally or in person, is to just help connect you with Jesus. We want you to have a meaningful engagement with God, primarily through the person of Jesus and getting to know him. And so thanks for joining with us. So wherever you're at on your spiritual journey, whether you're just kind of curious or whether you're kind of fully bought in or whether you feel like you're kind of slipping on your way out, wherever you're at on your journey, this is a safe place to explore and grow in faith. And so we're glad that you're with us today, and we pray this is helpful to you. As always, I want to encourage you to fill out our digital connection card today. Take a moment to open up our app. If you don't have our Life Church app, I want to encourage you to download our Life Church app. In that app, you can get that app at any app stores. Just search Life Church Lancaster, and you'll find us. And then right on that homepage is a little button where you can press and fill out our app. Fill out our digital connection card. Lets us know that you're out there. This is really helpful in this current age of online church where we're social distance and we're not seeing each other. It's really, really helpful on our end to know that you're out there engaging with us. So take a minute, just let us know you're engaging, fill out that connection card. That'd be incredibly helpful to us. And if you have any questions about anything or want to let us know some things, please, that's another way you can do that. Also want to say thanks, as we always do, to those of you who invest financially here at Life Church. Your gifts and donations, especially through this pandemic season, have continued to help us serve our community and be a light in our community, and continue to be a safe place for people to explore faith wherever they're at on their journey. So thanks for your investments. One of the easiest ways to give, if you're like, hey, I'd like to make a donation today, one of the easiest ways to do that is just by texting. We have text to give. You can send the amount you would like to give to 84321, and then just follow the prompts. And you can once you set that up once, it's super easy to do it anytime thereafter. If you don't want to do it that way, there's a lot of other ways you can give. They're in the app, or you can check them out on our website. So a couple of things before the band comes back with Amy and plays another song for us. A couple of things I wanted to mention to you. Number one is next week, dun da da da. We're reopening, right? Hopefully you've heard this. We are going to begin our reopening process once again. We started back in November, and that was just before the spike hit, so we shut back down. We've been online only since then, so now we're getting ready to see your lovely faces here again in the building, at least portion of your face, right? So we hope you can engage with us next week and moving forward through March and into the spring. With our reopened service. So we will continue to require face masks at these services, require social distancing. We will limit the amount of people we have in our auditorium space to a 25% capacity, and we'll discourage lingering in the building. We'll encourage you to head outside and talk outside if you want to mix and mingle with people afterwards. But we're just really excited to be able to get back together, and doing something is better than nothing. So we're so glad to be at this stage, and we're looking forward to the steps as we move forward. Oh, and a couple other things is there will not be children's programming just yet. Stay tuned on that. But you are welcome to bring your kids with you and bring them into the service with you. If you want to engage online, we will continue to stream online through this whole season. So that's starting next week. So we're really excited about that. So let's be looking forward to that. The other thing I wanted to mention is Easter's right around the corner. Can you believe it? Actually, we're coming up on our 1-year mark that we have been shut down. It was the second week of March last year, which was our first week out, and Easter was, shortly thereafter. So we're excited to get back together for Easter. So a couple of things I want to tell you about our Easter services. We will be doing them here. We'll have 2 services that day. When we reopen in March, we'll be reopening at 10 a.m., just like we are right now online. But Easter Sunday, we'll be doing 2 services, one at 9, one at 10:45. All right, 9 and 10:45 Easter Sunday. So we invite you to come to those. For our Easter service, we have put together a little Easter bag for everybody who comes. This will be, so if you're planning on being here for Easter, you're going to get one of these bags when you show up. We're going to be doing communion together, so it's got the communion stuff in there that you would need. There's a couple other things, some things to help the service be a little more interactive, some worship stuff, but also some other swag stuff. So we got a few things in here, some candy. So if you are attending the service, you'll just get one of these when you attend that service. But if you're like, I won't be attending the Easter service because of COVID or because whatever, and we're watching online, we want you to stop by anytime in March. Come by on a Sunday morning. You can swing by and just grab one of these bags and head on out, and then you have that for your Easter service experience at home, just like we did back at Christmas. So this will help aid you in your Easter experience at home. So these are available starting next week on Sunday mornings. We want to encourage you to swing by and pick one of those up if you will be watching the service online. Again, if you're going to be here in person that day, we'll give you one when you come in the door. So that's all the stuff I have for us. Exciting time as we're heading into the spring, reopen, and Easter. So before we kind of shift gears and kind of step into our teaching portion for today, I want to turn our attention back to the band along with Amy leading us in another song.
Blessed are the ones who do not bear all the broken pieces of their heart. Blessed are the tears of all the weary, pouring like the sky of falling stars. Blessed are the wounded ones in mourning, brave enough to show the Lord their scars. Blessed are the hurts that are not hidden, open to the healing touch of God. The kingdom is yours. Hold on a little more, this is not the end. Hope is in the Lord, keep your eyes on Him.
Blessed are the ones who walk in kindness, even in the face of great abuse. Blessed are the deeds that go unnoticed, serving with unguarded gratitude. Blessed are the ones who fight for justice, longing for the coming day of peace. Blessed is the soul that thirsts for righteousness, welcoming the last, the lost, the least. Kingdom is yours. The kingdom is yours.
All right. Well, once again, good to see you. And I love that song, The Kingdom is Yours. Hopefully you enjoyed that song too, the song itself, but also the band bringing it to you. And so we're glad to be here today. Thanks for joining us out there in the internet land. We're looking forward to next week and being able to be together. And remember, if you haven't taken a chance to fill out that digital connection card, I want to encourage you to do that in our app, the Life Church app. So today we are concluding a long journey that we've been on together as we have been working through the 12 steps of the recovery movement, right? If you've watched any of the services over the past 2 months, you're well aware of this journey that we've been on together. And if you're new to us, you're coming in right at the tail end of a bit of a journey we've been on as we've worked through the 12 steps. Now, we did this in 2 teaching series. The first series was called The Unmanageable Life that we did in January, and then February, we've been working through the Restored Life. This teaching series called The Restored Life. And so we've worked through each of these steps along the way, and you might be curious about that, but these steps of the recovery movement are rooted deeply in spiritual truths. And actually, they were born out of spiritual truths that were found in the teachings of Jesus and in the Christian scriptures. And they've radically transformed the world, and thousands, millions of lives have been impacted by these, with people who struggled with certain addictions. But these steps are not something that are only for people who struggle with some sort of overt, chemical substance addiction. But these are for all of us, because they are basic spiritual truths that if we incorporate them, if we work them, if we walk through them, lead to levels of spiritual transformation in our own journey. And so I hope that they've been helpful to you in that regard. We've gotten a lot of feedback from several of you saying how helpful these have been and how encouraging and how insightful and how just these have been helpful to you along your spiritual journey, which is fantastic because that's ultimately what we're here to do. And so having processed through steps 1 through 11 together, today we are going to finish up by talking through step 12, all right? So step 12, let's quickly read step 12, and then we're just going to dive right in today, all right? So step 12 says this. It says, having had a spiritual awakening, as the result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs. All right, so let's think about a few things. First, in step 12, we find the word alcoholic, right? So again, we know that these steps, or we've been using these steps as applied to anybody and everybody. And actually, the 12 steps, the word alcohol actually only appears twice. In the very first step, when it says that we realize our lives have become unmanageable, that we lost control, that alcohol has led our lives to be unmanageable. And then in the final step here, where they're carrying the message to alcoholics. And my encouragement to you from the very beginning was fill in the blank, whatever it is that you are struggling with. Whatever it is the thing that is causing your life to be unmanageable. Fill it in that blank, because that is the thing that God is trying to use in your life to bring about spiritual transformation. And so today, as we see step 12, and it brings up, we're carrying this message to alcoholics. Again, it doesn't have to be specifically alcoholics in your own world or in your own life, but those who maybe struggle with the same struggle that you've worked through. But it says this, it says having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps. And then it goes on and says, and that they were committed to practice these principles in all our affairs. Now, there's something really important about spiritual transformation that's being taught in this part of the conversation today. And I want to talk today, I'm going to take this step, and we're going to talk about 2 different ideas that are embedded in this step. And this is the first one. And I actually heard another pastor talking about this idea, and he had a really helpful phrase that I'm going to use today. And what he said was fields, not factories. That spiritual transformation, the spiritual life, when we think about it, we should think about fields, not factories. And I think that's a bit of what step 12 is emphasizing when it says that we've had this spiritual awakening as a result of working these steps and to practice these principles in all our affairs. You know, ever since the Industrial Revolution began, we live in an age of production and efficiency, right? Factories, warehouses. We create factories that operate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 12 months a year. They never stop. They never have to shut down. They never need a break. You just got a new shift of employees, of workers that show up, and we just keep cranking out whatever it is the factory's made to produce, right? And factories are really good at producing things. They produce no matter what the weather is. It can be sunny or it can be rainy. It can be light. It can be dark. Factories can still produce. Factories don't need sunlight in order to be efficient. They don't need rain in order to be efficient. The unpredictability of rain, right? Factories are made of metal and steel and concrete, and they're solid and they're dependable. And factories are really good at producing widgets, right? Or fly swatters or toasters or TVs, right? Factories are good at doing these things. But they can't do everything. But we live in a society that's highly factoryized. Can I use that word? It's probably not even a word. But spiritual transformation is not something that is produced through the process like that of a factory. A soul that is alive and breathing and transformed isn't created by the process of a factory, by running it through a factory mindset. In fact, we live in this age now where we've been in this industrial revolution. Now we're really experiencing technological revolution. But there was a time when we were an agricultural society. And in that hinge mark between the agricultural society into the industrial revolution lived someone that you may be aware of, and his name is J.R.R. Tolkien, the author of The Lord of the Rings. Just giving another nod to the Lord of the Rings fans today. But J.R.R. Tolkien bemoaned the Industrial Revolution because he was so enamored with the beauty of the agricultural, organic, natural world. And one of the things he said this, he says, how real and how startlingly alive is a factory chimney compared with an elm tree. Then he goes on to say this kind of scornfully. He says, poor obsolete thing, insubstantial dream of an escapist. A factory chimney versus an elm tree. Like, can you even compare these two? And we live in this factory chimney society, right? And again, now we've shifted even more into a technological revolution. But the point the step is trying to make here is that these steps, these transformational process, while they're written in this step-by-step process, which might seem a little like a production engineer on a factory assembly line, they don't ultimately have their power in that reality. They have their power as we work them, as we live within them, as we process them, as we let these steps do their work on our life. It's more of an organic field nature process, farmer process, much less of a factory process to process and transform the human soul, because the human heart is not a widget. Factories make great widgets, but the human heart is not a widget. Because we live in an industrial society where we can produce almost anything we want by a factory, and by building a factory to do so, sometimes we expect that the organic things in life would be produced in the same way. Before the Industrial Revolution, humans lived in this agricultural society, and an organic or agricultural paradigm is a way better guide to helping us in a spiritual transformation. So those who authored these 12 steps knew this, and while they read like this sort of instruction manual, these steps will not work in this sort of linear, mechanistic way. These steps cultivate our souls, just like a farmer is going to cultivate the soil. For the transformative effect, we must be willing to weather the seasons, to till the soil, to plant seeds, to water, to wait, to be dependent upon the sun, to wait for the rains, to be patient. And if you want a spiritual harvest, you're going to need to think a bit like a farmer and a little less like a production engineer, because it's fields, not factories, that ultimately produce the transformational process of the human heart. We practice these steps, circling around to this one or that one because of the season that we're in, and again, and patiently waiting for a seed to start to grow, waiting for the stalk to begin to come out of the soil, and waiting for fruit to become ripe. We focus on step 4 for a while, and then we realize that we need to do step 8 and 9 over again. We're working on step 11, trying to focus on this, and then we're confronted with the realities of our heart hasn't fully embraced step 3 yet. So there's this cultivation, this tilling of the soil, this sort of circling back around, this waiting, planting, harvesting process. It's fields, not factories, that ultimately move the human heart into a season of transformation. But the struggle with fields over factories is there's a lot less we can control. Like we can do certain things, but like we're completely dependent upon the supreme being, the higher power, God himself, to do other things that we can't do. And we have to learn to trust, and we have to learn to be patient, and it builds humility into our lives. This is the process. There are, in this sort of reality, in this embracing this sort of more organic reality, this natural process, there are times of reaping, and there are times of celebrating, and then there's times where it's the hard work of planting, times where it's discouraging because there was a setback of one or another. But the spiritual life is transformed when we engage it like a field as opposed to a factory. Now, the second thing I want to point out about this about step 12 today. The first one is fields, not factory. The second idea is this, and this is really the heart and the push of step 12. And this is a step that really, like so many of these others, when you incorporate this into your life, it can lead to so much fruit, so much transformation. But this is the other thing I want you to notice, that fruit isn't just for the farmer. Fruit isn't just for the farmer. So we're going to continue with this organic nature metaphor. And the amazing thing about nature is that when a farmer works within the natural principles and within the natural world to produce fruit, to plant seeds, to grow a crop, when he works within the systems and the seasons of nature, when he does this and he does this well, the harvest is typically way more bountiful than the farmer themselves can actually take advantage of, right? I remember a few years ago, we had a small little garden at home, and when our kids were little, and we were trying to tend, we planted a few things. We planted some cucumbers, and we planted some tomato plants, and a few other plants. But the cucumbers and the tomatoes really seemed to take root and take off, and so we cared for these and waited for them. Our kids love cucumbers. We eat cucumbers, I feel like by the dozen, it seems like sometimes. But so, which is a good thing, better that than Snicker bars, I guess, right? So we were waiting for our cucumber harvest, waiting for our tomato harvest, and once these little plants started to produce, we couldn't keep up. I mean, you go out there certain days, one day, and you'd bring in 6 or 7 or 8 cucumbers, and the next day there'd be some more, and then I'm walking in with like a big old bowl of tomatoes, like day after day. Like these plants were just creating so much harvest. It was way more harvest than what we could even consume. And maybe you've had this happen too. If you've tried to grow a garden, or maybe you have a neighbor who grows a garden, and they come over and they say, "Please, will you take these tomatoes? Please, will you take some of this? Because we cannot eat all this. This stuff is going to go bad." And there's a powerful, powerful spiritual truth in this natural reality, that the fruit isn't just for the farmer, for the one who's harvested it, the one who grew it. Ultimately, the farmer serves an entire community by sharing the harvest. And the step 12 exhorts the individual to carry this message to others. the fruit, the work, the harvest that you're experiencing in your own life after having processed through and done the seasons and walked through the journey of the 12 steps, the fruit that you're experiencing, share with others. Carry the message to others who need it. Don't hoard your harvest. Don't sit on your spiritual bounty. Step 12 says we got to be willing to share it with someone else who's in need. It's the first, it is the nature of human growth. God has built this into the universe, that the fruit isn't just for the farmer. Seeds need to be spread far and wide. There are others who need the fruit. Now, in fact, your transformation on the spiritual transformational journey, it isn't complete until you're willing to share the harvest. This is how firmly this is built into the nature of the world. Richard Rohr, in his book Breathing Underwater, which I've referenced all through this series, it's a book about the spirituality of the 12 steps. Breathing Underwater by Richard Rohr, and I've encouraged you to read along with me in that book. This is what he says about this idea in step 12. He says, "No, we do not truly comprehend any spiritual thing until we ourselves give it away. Spiritual gifts increase by only using them, whereas material gifts normally decrease by usage." Right? Richard Rohr says, we don't truly comprehend a spiritual thing until we ourselves give it away, until we're willing to give it away. It's like breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. You need both to be happening. If all you do is breathe in, breathe in, breathe in, that's not going to last very long. We've got to breathe in and breathe out. We experience spiritual transformation. We reap a harvest, and we've got to share it. It's like the lake that has a stream flowing into it, but no river flowing out of it. This is the reality of the Dead Sea, which is in Israel. The Jordan River flows from the Sea of Galilee and runs down through the nation of Israel and then pours itself into this low Sea of Galilee, which is below sea level, and no water gets out. And the alkaline, the salt content of the Dead Sea is so strong that nothing can live in it. There's no outlet. There's no way for the water to flow through and for it to be refreshed and purified. It becomes stagnant. It's a metaphor for some spiritual realities. Jesus teaches this same principle to us in an interaction that he had with Peter. Right now, you should probably remember Peter. Peter was Jesus' right-hand man. He's lived large throughout all Christian history, the apostle Peter. And Peter, the one thing I love about Peter is that, man, he had a lot of struggles, and Jesus loved him. He was his right-hand man. Jesus entrusted so much to him, even though Peter was so off and on again at times. So Jesus has this interaction with Peter just before Jesus is crucified, and Jesus is telling Peter, like, hey, you're gonna turn away from me. You're gonna deny me 3 times before the cock crows. Jesus had this kind of conversation with him. So in Luke chapter 22, listen to what Jesus says to Peter. He says this: "Simon, Simon," that's Peter. He called him Simon sometimes. "Simon, Simon, Satan has asked to sift each of you like wheat, but I have pleaded for you, Simon, that your faith should not fail. So when you have repented and turned to me again, strengthen your brothers." So Jesus is telling Peter that he's going to do one of the worst things a person can do: betray a friend. He's going to turn against Jesus, his spiritual leader, his mentor, the Son of God, the Messiah. He's going to betray him. This is hurtful stuff. This is bad stuff. Peter was going to fail, and he was going to fail hard. And Jesus says, this is going to happen, but I'm praying that your faith wouldn't fail. Which is interesting, right? Because you think, well, Peter did fail. But Jesus prayed for him that ultimately he wouldn't fail. And we know this journey that Peter did ultimately make his way back to Jesus. He did turn back to Jesus and come back. And Jesus doesn't see Peter's denial as a failure, as a final failure. Jesus prayed that he would return. But Jesus said this, once he did return, Jesus wanted Peter to use his story and his experience of hardship, pain, spiritual struggle, and failure as a way to strengthen others. Failure and struggle was the path to spiritual contribution. This is so true with the 12 steps. As we work these 12 steps, we're focused on on the struggle. We're focused on the failure. We're like, wow, man, I'm really, just broken in this area, or I can't get this area under control. This is unmanageable in my life. And we focus on these things, and we feel like as we focus on these things, these are the things that God is upset with us about, that God is ashamed with us about. And we're so mad. We get so mad and harsh with ourselves about these things too. We feel so much pressure about things, about getting things right, got to get things right, getting things right. But yet it is these failures, these struggles, these difficulties, these pains, these ways we've screwed things up. These things become the very path to transformation, the very path to God, the very thing that we can use to help others. They become the fertile soil. They become the context by which we have something to offer to someone else. We have a few cucumbers to offer because we've been through the journey. We've been through the process, and we can help another hungry, thirsty soul on a restoration, transformational process in a moment of their great need. So I don't know if you know this already, but it's the journey through your failures, through your struggles, through your wounds, that will most powerfully help others. The greatest things you have to offer others who are struggling is not your story of winning in everything in life, and you've got the answers, and you've got the 4 steps to freedom, and you have it all figured out. That kind of a dynamic creates barriers. People don't connect over your success. They connect over the struggle. They connect over the failure. And once you've walked through failure, once you've walked through struggle and have been in this process of transformation, you begin to reap a harvest, and you begin to have something to offer those who are around you who are still in the struggle. And Jesus is telling Peter in this passage to do what step 12 is telling all of us to do who have journeyed through spiritual transformation. That's to share what you've learned with someone. Share what you've learned with someone. So what I want to say to you today, sort of a summary of step 12, is just this, that the process of transformation requires that we share its fruit. Right? The process of transformation requires that we share its fruit, carry the message, offer somebody some of the harvest. So I know as we think about this, you've got a lot of questions. Oh, I don't know if I'm prepared to help somebody. I don't know. I don't have it all together, or I don't want to be, paternalistic. I don't want to be bossy. You got a lot of questions in your mind about how you might be able to share the harvest with people. And I want to just give you 2 quick thoughts as we wrap up this morning about how to do that. And first, I want to tell you something that I heard from Pastor Andy Stanley. It was a really clever way to kind of think about this, and it was very helpful to me. And he said this. He said, pour some of your cup into someone else's cup. Think about it this way. You're not pouring all of everything you know into somebody, and you're not going to fill somebody else's cup overflowing so that they have no more questions about life, but you have something in your cup, the cup of your life, that you can pour into someone else's cup and be helpful. Right? There's something you have that you've learned, that some fruit, some harvest that you have, that you can pour from your cup into someone else's cup. Right? It's not everything. It's not everything you've learned. You're not fixing everything in them. You're not really fixing anything. All you're doing is pouring a little bit of your cup into someone else's cup. This is a helpful way to think about it, right? You're not Jesus. You don't have all the answers. And they're not Satan. They have some things figured out too. But pour a little from your cup into their cup. Maybe, too, they'll end up pouring some from their cup into your cup, and it will be a symbiotic, a relationship filled with synergy. There we go. So pour some from your cup into someone else's cup, right? Now, the second thing I'll say to you, just thinking about how to practically engage with this, is to be connected and be open. Because I'm sure you're thinking, well, I don't know who or how or when. Am I just supposed to knock on somebody's door or send somebody an email and say, I was thinking? That's you don't need to do any of that. What you need to do is be connected and be open. Be connected and be open. When you're thinking about how do I know who to share the fruit of my transformational journey with? And let me remind you, you've got something you can share. You've got fruit of your own transformation. We all have something to offer. You say, well, how do I share and who? First, I want to encourage you to be connected in community. You know, in the recovery movement, in Alcoholics Anonymous, one of the mottos that they have is 90 meetings in 90 days. When you first start on the process, they say 90 meetings in 90 days. That's 3 months. A meeting every day for 3 months. There's profound wisdom in that, because all of a sudden, at the beginning of that journey, you are engaging in community every single day. You're interacting with people. You're interacting with people. You're interacting with people. Interacting with people. Be connected. This is one of the primary ways in which we can make a contribution or know even when a contribution is ready, could be made, is simply by being connected. And I get it. We're in a pandemic time. Nobody's meeting. Nobody's all that. I get that, right? You got to figure out how this works in this moment of life with coronavirus and everything else. But as you think about moving forward, we are going to start re-engaging with people, but figure out ways to be connected. The human tendency is so often to pull back, to withdraw, to isolate, and we need to learn to be connected. And so I want you to be connected, but in your connection, be open. All right? Be open. This is just being authentic, right? Just be a true human who's willing to share some of the ups and downs that they've had on their journey. You know, if you're in a context where somebody's sharing about a difficulty that they've walked through, if you've experienced some of that difficulty too, that's a good opportunity for you to share some of your own difficulty too, right? Like, this is being open. Rather than saying, hey, I've got the 4 answers for that. Hey, I know how to fix that problem. You know, maybe back off of that and say, you know what, man, I hear you. I've struggled with that too. You know, my boss is terrible, just like your boss is terrible. Or I'm struggling through my marriage, just like you're struggling through your marriage. Or I got faith questions. Man, I'm struggling with some crazy faith questions, just like you're saying you're struggling with some faith questions. We got to learn to be open and authentic with each other. Now, I know there's always going to be somebody in a context, in a room, and you're always kind of curious about, is somebody judging me? Is somebody, thinking less of me because I was open and I shared about a struggle that I've walked through? And there are appropriate times and places to share certain things about us. We don't tell everyone everything about our internal lives. There's some people that you trust, and there's circles of relationships and all of that. But we have to be able to be open with some people. And there may be somebody who's judgmental, but at the end of the day, there's going to be 3 or 5 or 10 other people who were encouraged and comforted to know about that reality in your life and about how you walk through that. Or just knowing they have a connection or a sense of camaraderie with you. So if we're going to begin to pour from our cup into someone else's cup, we've got to be in community, and we've got to be connected and to be open in that community. Right? So you can be in community, but you can have all your walls up and not engage and not talk or not share anything personal about yourself. And those opportunities won't come as well. You won't enjoy the benefit as well. So I want to encourage you to pour from some of your cup into someone else's cup and to be connected and open. So as we wrap up this morning, I want to ask you the question, are you willing to engage with step 12? Are you willing to engage with step 12? This is a step where we're staying engaged with the process of transformation through these 12 steps. We are fields, not factories, right? We're tilling the soil. We're staying engaged. Sometimes it's step 3, and then it's step 8, then it might be step 1. And we're staying sort of in the mix. We're kind of continuing to till that soil, work the steps in our lives, but also sharing the transformation, sharing the fruit that we're experiencing with someone else. Carry the message, as the step says. Are you willing to engage in this? Are you willing to consider carrying the message that you have, the message that's of your journey, the fruit that you've experienced? Are you willing to share that with somebody? I got to tell you, nothing would transform a church community more than if we all, not just the people in ministry, but if we all are sharing the harvest with each other. If we are all investing in one another, if we are all willing to pour a little bit of what we've learned into someone else, if we pay attention to the opportunities that come our way, if we stay connected and stay open and step through those doors when they open, man, so much can change. What a life-giving place this can be. And we don't do those things in paternalistic ways. We don't do them in righteous, self-righteous ways. We do those things as we've walked through these steps, and we realize that we all are beggars in search of bread, and we're all just helping one another, one beggar telling another beggar how to find the bread. This is the kind of community I'm wanting to be a part of. I hope you are too. So let's pray as we finish this morning. Jesus, thank you so much for this conversation today. I pray this step 12 is helpful as we think about this in our own personal journeys, but also in our lives and in our church community. May we be people who are willing to carry the message, willing to share the fruit of our own journey of transformation with one another. It's in Jesus' name we pray these things. Amen. All right, well, that's what we got for today. I hope you have had a good morning with us. Please, as we're wrapping up here this morning, I want to encourage you, say hello to each other out there. Say goodbye to each other on the YouTube comments section. Let us know you're there. Remember, if you didn't fill out that connection card, take a moment to fill out our digital connection card and let us know you're engaging with us today. And we look forward to next Sunday. Remember, okay, so next Sunday we'll be here again in the building, opening up our service. And so we're interested to see how that goes. We're going to take it a step at a time. We don't know how many of you are going to show up. Things could change from week to week, so stay tuned and stay engaged. But we are really looking forward to seeing you face to face and engaging as we reopen the service leading into our Easter celebration together. So thanks so much for being here today. Remember, if you got any questions, let us know. But until next week, until then, Godspeed.
My arms are tired and weary. These wounds are on full display. I've tried every door in the hallway. There's just nowhere that I feel safe. I see the light but never find the surface. I don't know if I can swim no more. White knuckles and wild horses. One day we'll wash up on Mercy's shore. One day we'll wash up on Mercy's shore. slowly sneak our body inside. We can rest in the arms of trust. There's no way we can say we've earned our way into the light.